What's going on, folks? If you are here, reveal yourself, say hi, don't be shy. And of course, if you're watching this on the replay, let me know in the comments below, because it's always nice to know if you are here live, or if you're actually tuning in later, because obviously people all across the different areas across the globe, different time zones. So it's currently 9 p.m. here, Australian Eastern Standard Time. It's May the 4th. So some people that are probably thinking, oh, May 4th, they haven't even reached that yet. So anyway, today's live stream is all about progress update for April, what I've achieved, what hasn't been working, how things are tracking, and just all that jazz. So we're gonna touch on the YouTube analytics. We're gonna touch on the reselling business. We're going to touch on the podcast and running, and a whole bunch of other different things along the way. So yeah, if you're keen to ask a question, or if you have something that you want to say, leave it in the chat. If you are here live, of course, if you're watching it on the replay, leave a comment and I'll come back to it and try and answer it as honestly and openly as possible. I'm going to give everyone a chance to come together. I can see there's a few people watching. And I'll just give it a couple more moments before I really jump into it. Hope you're all doing well. If you are there, say hi, don't be shy. I can see 5 people have jumped in now. And while people are jumping in, I'll just make sure I got my sharing screen all set and ready to go. All right. It's going to be a quiet one. Everyone's a bit shy tonight. That's okay. No worries. I'm doing this regardless if people show up or not. So we'll be going through the analytics first. I'll just give this a chance to refresh. All right, we're going to kick off with the YouTube analytics. Let's make sure this is sharing. Add to stream. There we go. Okay. Thanks, Carla. Thanks, babe. Supporting the cause. Yeah, happy May the 4th be with you day. Happy Star Wars Day indeed. Very exciting. I know plenty of people are probably they're probably all watching Star Wars. Here I am, a fan, and I'm not even doing anything for it, but that's okay. It's you don't have to be showing everything about Star Wars to still be a fan. Toby, what's up, mate? How you doing? Hope you're doing well, man. I know you're multitasking at the moment as well, so I appreciate you being here and popping in. And I know you're probably keen here to see the data, so that will come after the YouTube analytics. Anyway, we'll get started, and as people start to jump in and warm up to it all. But first thing we're going to touch on is the YouTube analytics. So it's been an absolutely awesome month in terms of growth, and just jumping straight in, this is what you can see. I've grown in the last 28 days. 49 people have joined the channel, so welcome if you are one of those folks. Wow, I'm seeing everyone's just jumped in straight away. So we've got Carla, we've got Toby, we've got Sean. Before starting a live stream video after his YouTube, it comes. Actually, that's a very good question. Yeah, I do get nervous every time. Not as much as I used to. It's always a bit nerve-wracking when I'm chatting and no one's here because it feels awkward. But no, I think, I'm not saying it's easy, but it gets easier every time you do one. So yeah, you should start your channel, man. Hey, Nally, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Hey, there he is, my man. How you doing, Matt? Good to see you, bro. My 30th. I'm sorry, Toby. I don't. This is going to hurt Matt as well. I don't really keep up with the sports. I'm really sorry, but I do know the 36ers. I just don't really keep track of it. All right. So it's been an awesome month in terms of just growth with a lot of things, and the YouTube analytics being the first thing, and that's what we're going to dive straight into. And there's a few other YouTubers in the chat at the moment. So it's been an awesome month. April, we've basically done about 3,700 views, which is on average about 1.4 thousand more. As you can see, if we look back a year, I'm basically doing double that I was doing in the past, which is just crazy to be able to see this. And that's basically on par with what I did in March as well. So watch time also, we're up. We're even higher than last month. We're doing about 300 hours this month. And then subscribers, I've had an additional 60 folks jump on board, which is just so encouraging and overwhelming just to have the ongoing support and yeah, just the love from everyone. It's really good. So I really do appreciate if you are one of the new subscribers in the last 30 days, one of those 60, let me know. And I do appreciate you joining the channel because it's very exciting. So if we jump down, what I always love to do, and I haven't looked at these stats yet, so this is all fresh off the cuff, and this data is really annoying me already. Stop it. Okay, there we go. Cool. So if we jump down to the top videos for this period, it's interesting to see. Still, my top video for this month is a video that I did back in 2019 at the Melbourne Marathon. It's still picking up that trend. It's been three months in a running now. So it's pretty crazy. And then I released a video on the ASICS Gel Cumulus 23s, and that seems to be picking up some pace for this month. But the rest of it, what I like to see is all the reselling content. And this is the stuff where I'm putting a lot of my time and effort into, so it makes sense. So I really do appreciate it. And, you know, it's good to see these numbers still continuing to grow. Things that I've done, you know, a couple of weeks ago as well are still in those top numbers. I'm doing about 3 to 4 videos a week as well. So a lot coming through, and it's interesting because videos, yeah, my average used to be around less than 100 views, and now I'm getting, you know, everything above 100, and some of them are a bit more. So it's very encouraging. Hey mate, how you doing? Appreciate you jumping in. Really do. And it's good to see folks chatting in the chat as well. So yeah, if you don't know each other, say hi. Make sure you know, check each other's channels and whatnot, because there's plenty of content to go around. Okay, so what else is very interesting for this month is reach. My impressions is up, and I've been trying to spend a lot of time focusing on the thumbnails, which I do love doing the thumbnails, but the thumbnails, some of these thumbnails, if I just jump back, some of these can take between 15 and 30 minutes just because they go through iterations. I'm trying to adjust how they look. And I do have a bit of a process that I go through, and I actually have a bit of a template, and I use Canva. I use Canva to basically create these, and I've created a little template that I can actually insert the thumbnail into, so it looks like the YouTube front page, and I can see if it sticks out and pops out higher than anyone else's, and even for the text as well. So just a little quick tip that I use there. Now, in terms of the, oh wow, I'm seeing the chat, and it looks like there's a bit of excitement happening. Hi, Sandra. Thanks for being here. Really do appreciate it. It's hard to not get distracted watching the chat. Anyway, so impressions are really well. Click-through rate is down though, which is kind of contradicting what I just said about the thumbnails, is because usually the thumbnails that's what you want people to click through on, but it just means that my content is getting in front of people, but maybe it's not in front of the right audience, and they're not willing to click through, or maybe the thumbnails aren't working, but my impressions are up. Still got a good amount of views and unique viewers, which is interesting. Yeah, so that's down, but nothing to be concerned by. A lot of my traffic is still coming from the browse features and YouTube search, and then channel pages. And what is interesting is to see where my traffic source is coming from over YouTube, which it is still running related, is where my majority of my traffic is coming in. So I haven't really tipped over that, I guess, that that threshold in having the reselling being the thing that's dragging it. Now I know when it comes to proportion of my total traffic, that's coming from Facebook, which is a lot of the reselling community. But it's still interesting coming from the other areas like Google search. It still probably is likely to be for the running content, which is okay because I do running content too. So yeah, this is very interesting to see. Engagement, watch time is up, which we already discussed, 32%, which is just incredible. Just unbelievable. And then average view duration, we're also up by 29%. So averaging 5 minutes per video, which, you know, for people to spend 5 minutes watching content on average, that's actually quite a lot of time when you think about it, especially when we have such when we have such, short form content going out and moving so quickly, to have someone sit and watch for 5 minutes is, thank you. Thank you so much. It's very, encouraging. Yeah, Matt. Look, I love this stuff, and I do, and it can be a bit overwhelming, but it's always fun to try and figure it out. And I don't know if you can see in the background that I just picked up the YouTube formula. I haven't actually read this yet, but I just got the copy just a couple of days ago, and I'm keen to get into that and really just start to dive in and see what's on option. If you haven't checked it out or know about Daryl Eves, he's the guy basically mentoring Mr. Beast, who's one of the biggest YouTubers at the moment. So it's exciting to be able to get that opportunity to read that. So I'll be, sharing some thoughts and insights once I get to that. So as we scroll down, one thing that I always want to harp on and really be clear in this part of the live stream is leveraging your data, right? And this tells you where people are jumping in, jumping off, and whether you have timestamps or not, or chapters, this will still tell you. But basically, it's telling me and I'll just use one of these videos, your sales will do this too. It's telling me that where people are dropping off, or where people are watching the longest, or where people are spiking, or where people are dipping off, right? So it's very interesting to be able to see, how people are sticking around. And what's good to see here is that 78% of people are still watching within 30 seconds, which tells me that, the stuff that I'm saying or introing to the content means I'm keeping majority of my people. It's greater than 50%. So that's encouraging for me to be able to see. And that's why sometimes it's really good to just check back on these analytics to see that, maybe you need to change how you're doing your intros, or spice that up, or really, I guess, you want to do hook them in, reel them in. And that's getting straight to the point usually. So just a key little thing there, sharing my ideas anyway. We won't jump too much into this. That's fine. And then audience, it's good to see returning viewers is up 18%, which means I've got people coming back that weren't coming back as much the month prior. So that's exciting. Unique viewers are down. Okay, that's fair enough. And subscribers is up, which we already know. So very interesting. And it's good to see, mate, Matt, Aussie, the Aussie Flipper. You are the one that's bringing the most people over to my channel. So I really do appreciate it. Well, actually, it's not actually you're necessarily bringing it over, but my audience, they seem to be watching yours a lot. So I think there's a bit of a crossover there. So I do know you are sending a lot of people over this way because, I can see the trends. But yeah, I really do appreciate that. And to Aussie Thrifters, Darva Flipper, back from Burnout as well, and Manic to Mindful. So, shout out to all you folks. And then we've got, interesting, another thing to check out is when your viewers are on YouTube. Now, one thing that's interesting is Tuesday, 9 p.m. Many of my viewers are on YouTube, and that's why I intended to do this at 9 o'clock, because I figured that's probably the best bang for buck in terms of when people are more likely to jump in. So, it's very interesting to be able to see that. Still majority of Australia people watching. It's a 60-40 ratio of male and female, but yeah, and the audience range that I'm talking to is 25 to 54, which is very interesting. Very interesting. And obviously this is a mixture of running and reselling folks as well. So yeah, pretty interesting to see this. So that's the latest details on the YouTube stats. It's encouraging, it's very motivating, and it's also very, very I've just seen Toby, he said it's not 9 p.m. Well, that's because you're in South Australia. So fair enough. Good call. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So these stats, these are really encouraging to see, and we're about to jump into the dashboard stuff in a minute, where we'll be able to see, a bit broader of the things that I'm tracking. But at this moment, obviously I have that goal for 1,000 subscribers, and I'm on track to hit that by middle of September at this rate. So I'm excited to see that happen. Just taking a cup of tea. All right, let's jump into, I know Toby's super keen for this, so we're going to jump in over to my dashboard. Now, I've changed it up since last time, simply because, funny story, I had a little bit of an incident, and I'll zoom in a minute. Had a bit of an incident in the early of April, where my Excel that I was using wasn't syncing to my Dropbox for 7 days. I didn't realize this. I thought it was. I had a bit of a restart issue, and when I logged back in, it hadn't synced for 7 days. So I lost 7 days worth of data. And then I realized, no, can't do this anymore. So I basically had to do the process of reconciling and recreated all my dashboards and everything in Google Sheets, which is what I was going to do anyway. But this forced me to do it because it was just a painful process. So now I'm tracking things slightly different. I've got a master dashboard for all my goals, which is what we're touching on tonight, around the running, around the podcast, around shares, around reselling, around everything. And then I've got a deep dive of my actual eBay dashboard as well, which it's not fully automated yet. I know Toby would be saying that why isn't it automated yet? But hold your horses, calm down. Hey, 2 Aussie Thrifters, thanks for being here. No need to apologize. We've all got things that are happening, and I forgot that, South Australia is a bit behind. So that's okay. My 9 p.m. means, you're probably still doing things as well because it's not quite there yet. But no, thanks for being here. Really do appreciate it. Yeah, so we're just talking about basically how things are going in terms of everything that I'm tracking. I'm going to talk a bit broader for first, and then we'll jump into the reselling. And I was just saying, folks, that it was a bit of a fun month because I lost a lot of data and I had to do a bit of a reconciliation and recreate it. But before we get on to all the other data, so we're just talking about YouTube. So this is as of today. We're at 794 subs. My goal is to get to 1,000. And at the moment, we're tracking to the 16th of the 9th September. So 16th of September, as you can see up here. Hopefully you can see this on screen, not too bad. Anyway, this graph is just basically telling me and showing me how I'm going and where I'm going and keeping me up to date. I love seeing this because it just motivates me. It encourages me. And it's always encouraging to see that, sometimes, you might be going, if I zoom in here, you go up and then you have a little list, you have a little dip, and then you go up and then you have a little dip. And that's all part of the game. Anything that you're doing, whether it's investments, whether it's reselling, whether it's life in general. And we can't get so, I guess, eaten up by those moments of a single day, but looking at the bigger and broader picture, because when you do, that's when things will start to happen over a longer period of time and not getting so focused on the day to day. So it's encouraging to see this going up. I'm encouraged, and it's very, very exciting to be able to see. Oh, I'm just seeing some of these comments. Toby, I'm possibly going back to Excel. I'm not even going to start that conversation now. We can have a chat on that one. Let's say like 8 times. So yeah, that's the YouTube stats, and it's encouraging to see the growth. So let's jump into. We'll start on the reselling stuff. Oh, Sean, there you go, 16th of September, mate. Well, hopefully I'm going to be progressing quicker than the 16th of September, but we all know your birthday now. So yeah, happy birthday in advance, man. Now we've got it on record, so I can't forget. All right, so let's focus on the reselling first, on the dashboard, and then we'll jump back onto some of the other smaller goals. So this is up to date as of, I think I last did a refresh at 8:30. And there's a little bit more down here. I'm going to scroll out slightly a little bit, might help, because so I've had 3 sales today. Revenue of today is $165, which is not too bad. I had 2 Guitar Hero sales, and then I sold some Mega Bloks Dragons that I picked off up the side of the road in hard rubbish. I sold that for $55, so pretty happy with that, to be honest. As you guys will probably know, I have a reselling goal to hit $100,000 this year in revenue, and we're at 10%. We hit 10% just at the start of the week, so that's exciting. It's very encouraging to see this happening. We've got a long way to go, and I was actually chatting with a friend today, my mate Justin, and sometimes we can speak the negatives over ourselves and saying, oh, I don't think I'm going to make it, but if I don't, it's okay. Well, that's true, and it is okay if I don't make it, but I want to be pushing onwards and upwards and going for that regardless. So I need to just keep myself honest with that. But if we're looking over the data over the last the last 30 days, I guess, but this is also from Jan 11th, which is what, since I've been taking a chance on me. Come on, Tabor, your dashboard's good, man. So the things that I like to track is seeing what my average sale price is, which is at the top, seeing what my average profit is, average postage cost, average cost of goods as well. And then seeing that as a progression as well, and then seeing the running totals of revenue versus profit, which is basically just the graph version of the stuff that we're seeing here on the left-hand side. Average postage cost, it's just nice to see that tracking in a, just in a visual way here on the left, just because it, helps me see over time what that's going to do. And at the moment, the trend is showing that it's pointing down, which makes sense because the more throughput that I'm going to have, which will mean I will have a, I'll get to the next band, and I think I'm sitting on 3 or 4. I can't remember. I think it's 3, almost on 4. So it's, as that continues, it means that I'm going to get only more discounts as well. I think it caps it at 5, if I'm correct. I think Matt, the Aussie Flipper, you just got that. You got that band 5. Yeah, thanks, man. I'll take the edge. It's all right. We wouldn't know. We wouldn't know. Average cost of goods. This one doesn't really necessarily mean that that's going to be diluting any of the numbers, because average cost of goods is kind of irrelevant, because if you're getting things which are $100 but you're selling for $1,000, it's kind of irrelevant. But it's always, my focus has been of late is to keep the costs low, and cost of goods is part of that cost. But I literally, and I'm not going to reveal what it was, but literally at 8 o'clock just before this live stream, I purchased something and online via another secondhand place, and it was $70. I purchased it for $7, and I'm going to resell it. It'll probably sell for between $150 and $160. And seeing that straight up, I know that it's worth it. So that will mean my cost of goods, once I add that to my inventory, it's going to dilute those numbers. So that average cost of goods doesn't necessarily mean anything in particular. I just like to visualize it. What I've got down here, I'll zoom in a little bit just so you guys can see, is we have, I've got revenue, profit, and sales, just showing us, what is the profit versus the revenue, which is just basically our margins and throughput, cost of goods versus postage, and then down the bottom, listed items versus daily sales. Now, this is a very key one for some people that are in the room. I think probably most likely Opshop Nerd or Toby, 2 Aussie Thrifters, Matt, there's always that big debate. If you list more, you'll sell more. Now, we're looking at this, blue being listed and red being sales. As you can see, I've had quite a lot of spikes of listing at the start, and it's been pretty consistent. And I've been slacking off, I had a dip here, and then I've had a big day, and I'm just dipping down again. But my sales have continued to stay pretty average, and they're actually trending up. Now, that's interesting to see. It's only about 100 days worth of data, but I think it will be really good to see this after 6 months of how that's going. So on average, we can see over here that I'm doing 6.5 listings per day. It's average, so let's just round it down. I'm doing 6 listings per day. Now, I'm not actually physically doing them per day. I'm actually doing them in batches. So I'll do 30, 5, 1, none, 30, none, kind of thing. And that's the way I do it. So it's interesting to see how this will pan out over time. While we're here, average fee at the moment is 12.8%. Yeah, I knew you would like that, Toby. I knew you would. And that's why I want to do it, because now we're able to see over a long period of time and start to prove some points. It will be interesting to see that over time. So average fee. So I'm sitting at 12.8% at the moment in my master tracker sheet that I've got on my another tab. I basically have it calculating automatically at 15%. And then at the end of the month, I pull the data from eBay and let it update basically with the real fee data, because I'm taking in account the 15% might be taking in promotions, might be taking in, all those different things. So the 12.8 is the real number that I've had across the entirety of since starting in 11th of Jan. So that's about the average, but I'm still using that 15% as a bit of a buffer. So usually when I'm giving you guys a weekly update on profit, it's a little lower than what it actually is, because I'm actually have about a 2.8 or 2.2% gap of higher fees calculated in that. And then the video that comes out tomorrow, which is my monthly end report, that will have the full actual 12.8% or whatever it is at the point in time. Before we get down the bottom, this is just, I think we've already touched on this, how profits are going, revenue versus final goal. And then down the bottom here, this is just for myself, is I've got a bit of a tracking view of what I'm doing per month. I actually deleted it here by accident, but I used to have percentages of what these were. So the fees versus the total revenue. So because what I'd like to be able to do at the top here is you can see, well, if my average sale price, postage cost is about $9.50. When I'm in the op shop and comping things out real time, so I can pick something up, like, okay, it's going to be around this much to send, this is how much it's selling for on eBay. I can start to just get an idea of what type of profit potential I have sitting in there, because buying a DVD doesn't mean I'm going to get a profit of $17. However, buying a DVD, I do know that, when I send it, it's about $4.40. So, that comes into play. But when I'm buying something a bit more random, whether it's some books, they're quite heavy. And if it's a set, that's usually around the mark I'm paying, around that $8 to $10 mark. And the profit, currently at the moment, my best sales item is books. If you see my latest video, and there'll be more on this tomorrow in my month end video. But these are all just good numbers to be able to pull data quickly and understand what I'm doing. Sure, you could do a video on how to master Excel. A lot of this data is so impressive later. Very well. Thanks, man. Yeah, so I did do a one video, which I guess I pushed myself and had to step out of my comfort zone, was doing the Google Sheets, how I track my sales data, which basically went through this tab here, my master data. And I was a bit scared to do that, but I did it, and it wasn't for people that already have something. It's for people that don't know how to do something, or people that are keen to start, or just get some fresh ideas. But I appreciate the comment, mate. It's I would like to do a bit more of this. I think there's a great opportunity here, and I love this stuff. Like, I just love looking at the colors and the graphs, and it's just also pretty. But the key thing here is to make sure it's bringing a valid point, because you can have all this great information, but if it's not telling you something, it's just kind of waste of time putting it in together. So, over time, I'll probably adjust it and pull it out and, put what's more of a required tracking. All right. So that is how I'm going for the reselling. It's been an interesting month, and I'm going to be touching a bit more on this tomorrow. I'm dropping my how I went for April, but you guys are here early. So I've basically done around, you probably can't see it on screen yet, but let me zoom back in. Basically April, so spoiler alert, April I have done about $1,100 in profit. Revenue was down, profit was down. Margin was up 46.3%. I was basically up about 4%. But I think a lot of us have had a pretty small and quiet month in April, and even the retail stores. I did a video on this about JB Hi-Fi and Kogan. They're all being hit hard in April, just simply because some of the payments have stopped that we've been getting from the government, and also we've had holiday modes, so people are away spending their money in different places. But this week, sales have started to pick back up again, and I think other people are starting to feel that as well. So, yeah, it's interesting to be able to see this changing and flowing, and I think by the time it gets to end of May, it'll be interesting to see where we're at. Before I jump across to anything else, to the next part of this, any questions from anyone? Of course, we can always come back to this, so I will progress. But if you've got questions, by all means, please don't be shy. Chuck them in, and I'll do my best to answer them. So I'm going to jump over to the master dashboard, and this is where I'm tracking not just my revenue for my reselling, but I'm also tracking about my running, tracking stuff around the podcast. What I haven't updated here is around, one of my goals was around audiobooks and video games. Now, for my video games, what I have done is, I think I mentioned it last time, I finished one video game. I have a goal to finish 3 video games this year, and I finished the Jedi Fallen Order, Fallen Jedi Order, whatever it was. Finished that one last month, and then this month I've started playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Compliments to Carla, my girlfriend, for lending it to me. And I'm progressing well through that. So I'll still aim to do another game later in the year, and obviously if I can do a bit more, I will. Then just doing three games. All right, nice question from Toby. Yeah, I haven't actually calculated that. I know you're doing that, and the reason why I don't do it is because I've got this other view on the side here, which is, I'll just move your thing out of the way, is I've got my goals, what I'm tracking to, and I'm trying to get to these goals. Now, I don't want to be looking at projected amounts, because the projected amounts is basically quite clear here. And I've got a little tab here that tells me I need 39 sales, basically on average, to get to where I need to be in 6 days. Now, I already know, looking at that I am not going to hit that milestone, which means I either need to spice things up and need to get some bigger sales, which just means it's giving me that momentum. So I guess to answer your question, Toby, yes, I do have somewhat projected views, but I'm not doing it on a monthly basis. I'm really trying to get to that milestone. Yeah, correct. It does, yeah, different things, but I think to your point, that projected thing will become a very key part when I jump into focusing more on, more of a income salary, because that would be nice to be able to project what I'm, cash flow and things that I'll have coming in. Yeah, that's very true as well, guys. But yeah, percentage range is a good thing, and I know, Toby, you've got a way that you do this, which of course it's never going to be accurate. It's just an estimate. Look up Desktop Cantina. Very funny for you. Okay, this is good to know. I'm going to check that out afterwards. Thanks, Sean. Yeah, I mean, I love Star Wars. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, but I'm really letting it down. I don't even really have anything in the background. Actually, I will flex one thing for Star Wars. Let me just grab it. Who played Shadows of the Empire back in the day? I've got this bad boy on Nintendo 64 in its box. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. Nice little box there. Nintendo 64. Man, that was some good times. So yeah, I just thought I'd flex that for Star Wars Day. Why not? Hey, why not? Yeah, so let's continue on. So yeah, I was talking about video games. So I'm going to continue to try and build out completing my video game goals. Audiobooks, I'm currently listening to while running. I'm listening to Shoe Dog. This is my 3rd audiobook for the year, and I'm aiming to do 12. I think it was 12. So I should have no problems doing that, especially once I start running even more with some new goals coming up. Oh, there we go. Nice. And then why don't we jump on over to the running stuff? Yeah, let's do that. And this is probably a bit hard to read. So for those that aren't the runners in the house, but just for clarification, so my goal for this year was to do a half marathon every single month, not to hit PBs or anything, but just simply to keep that base. Also have a goal to do 2,000 kilometers this year as well. And then the other thing is that I wanted to do my first ultra marathon. And for those that are here tuned in, spoiler alert, my video coming out on Saturday is to reveal that I'm doing my first ultra marathon and just giving the details and overview of that plan. And that will be a 50K. And that's not September. So the training plan for that will kick off shortly. So April was a bit of a smaller month, to be honest. I didn't do nowhere near as much. If we have a look compared to the other couple of months, I had a smaller month, under 100 kilometers, which is okay. Average distance was around 6.5K. Max distance was 21. And so if we go across, basically, my other focus for the year is to bring my heart rate down. And my heart rate is averaging around 146, which is... got to run off, no pun intended. That's okay. Yeah, good one. It's good. Thanks. Really do appreciate you being here. Thank you. We'll chat later. And then I've got my half marathon stats. So I've done 4 so far, obviously being, 1 every month, and we're 4th month in. So pretty good here with the half marathon as well, with the heart rate as well. and the pace is pretty average. This isn't about PBs. This is around time on feet, getting comfortable with just hanging out in my head, and doing it over the time. So as you can see, the average time is about 2 hours and 35 minutes. So not too bad. Didn't have any races in April, not that I can remember. It's not about it's not about PBs or anything like that. Just checking back here, Ben. Yeah, coming back to the sales stuff. Yeah, it was really slow. Hey, so it's always comforting to hear that other people are experiencing the same stuff. Of course, I would want everyone to be doing really well, but it's good to know that we're all in this together and feeling the same hits. Now, so I've been using my wristwatch, and I am thinking about getting a heart rate strap. It'd be pretty good to do for the ultra marathon training. I think it would be quite valid to have that. So I've got it on my watch list. I'm just waiting for the price to drop down, and I'll make the purchase. I think nice investment. So we'll wait and see. Because I think you're using a strap, aren't you, compared to the watch? I think that's correct. Yeah, so the running has been pretty good. So as I mentioned, I'm kicking off my ultra marathon training at the end of this month. So, what I'll be focusing on is just slowing down. Well, not necessarily slowing down, but just focusing on the training plan. And the training plan isn't about speed. It's about time on feet and slowing down. So I've been trying to get that mentality in the last couple of months, just so that when I do start that training, it's going to make it a lot easier to, buckle down and get into it. So, that's really the intent there. Okay, let me just, and the other thing was I'm trying to increase my running so that I'm doing, how do I say this? Basically, ratio of 10K or more. So I'm trying to keep my runs above 10K. So January I did 29%, Feb 25%, March 29%, April 20% of my runs were above 10K. So I'm trying to keep it, build that up over time. So I think over the next few months, as my training plan is going to be like 60-minute runs, 40-minute runs, 2-hour runs, which means it will start to really build up over time. Now, yeah, look, once again, I think when it comes to all this graph stuff, and look, I want to do a follow-up video and share this, but you need to understand what's the purpose of the graphs. For me, it's telling a story, and I'm trying to really hone down and crunch on stuff. It's like in my weekly sold videos. There's no point creating it and just having it for the sake of having it if it's not giving you any valid information or any value. So I think it's key to understand, well, what do you want to be able to see? What do you want to be able to track? And then building it around that, rather than, because what I'm tracking isn't what everyone else is tracking. Like Toby, the op shop, he's not tracking exactly the same stuff. We have different ways of things that we like to see it, different things that we want to be tracking, because we have different goals and different intentions. So yeah, I think that's an encouragement for you, is just maybe make a list of things, and then we can go around and see how to create something which is going to be beneficial for you. Because a lot of this information is on the eBay store. It's just a matter of knowing where to pull it from. Yeah. Back to Sean. Is the Garmin HR run slow use of run dynamics data to analyze and improve would be better by now as 100%? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good to know. Waterproof. Because I guess if you're sweating a lot as well, that would probably include waterproof. So I'm a big sweater. Yeah, sorry for all the additional details there. But yeah, okay, that's good. That's good to know. Thanks for that. Yeah, coming back to Nally and Toby, yeah, it super really is important to understand what you're tracking and what you're wanting to understand, because otherwise you're just tracking data for the sake of tracking data. Now, I've been tracking data for the sake of tracking data at the start because I wanted to be able to see what I'm doing. But now I'm really starting to focus on the things, and I guarantee you this will change, because over time I'll realize I don't need to know that, or that's not important. But then there'll be other things that I will want to know. So the next thing that I'll be adding to this dashboard is actually basically kind of the stuff I've been showing you guys on a weekly basis of what items that I'm selling in terms of the most. So for instance, books, I might sell 20 books and they might be 80% of my profit. Starting to see that data over time is going to help tell me and see that, these are the items I need to be focusing on more. Or maybe I'm realizing that some of that is it's not worth my time, or I shouldn't be putting it into my stock. The other one that I'll start to track is average sales cycle time, because also there's stuff that sit around for a while. Is it worth selling if I'm only getting $3 profit? But if it's something that sits around for 90 or 120 days, but I end up getting a couple of $100 for it, well, then it's worth it. So things like that, because especially if you have a storage unit and you've got stuff in there that's sitting around, but it's not selling and it's only going to give you $3 profit, it's not worth keeping in storage because it's not going to pay the bills. So, just looking at it from that perspective, I think goes a long way. But once again, that's different for everyone. Sean, my man. Yep, no worries. Appreciate it. No worries. Thanks, man. Really do appreciate it. Yeah, hustle, buddy. Cheers. Have a good one. Yeah, so I think, this data is different for everyone. And it's the same for all my other stuff that I'm tracking. So, I don't have a lot of other data tracking in here because I'm not tracking it down to the detail. But, it's interesting to be able to see the different stuff. I just kind of... One of the more interesting things to do compare sales cycle against item size. You mean like the weight and like the, if it's like, for instance, a big bulky toy or something, is that what you mean? Because that's actually also another nice thing to think about now that you've just said that. Because I think it's both, and the same thinking of, is it attracting people or pushing people away? And then also what would be interesting to see if those items are more likely to probably sell on Facebook Marketplace potentially more than on eBay as well. Yeah, that's a good one, actually. I've never thought of that. I mean, I avoid big items just for that because it's awkward because I don't want to post them. And I just sold today 2 Guitar Hero controllers. One of them is the one that you can break off and put in half. The other one's so old that you can't do that. And I didn't think of that, when I purchased it. So it's been a bit of a struggle to post it. I got it figured out and I got it down. But it's, those things, they can be a deterrent. But you need to know it, because if you don't understand how that's going to be, if they're going to sit around, they're taking up a lot of room, but they're not going to make you money, or they're not going to move quickly, you need to work out, is it worth that, bang for buck? So a very good point, Connor. Really good point. All right. The other thing I wanted to give you guys an update on, and we can come back to anything, you guys can, ask questions, is, and I'm going to just chuck this up while I'm here, is just to be mindful is that I actually did introduce a mailing list as well. And I want to give you guys a heads up. I've got about 27, 28 people that have joined. Is the idea of that mailing list is what I'm calling a weekly reflect. And every Monday at 9 p.m. I send out an email basically talking about things that I've learned through the week, things that have gone well, things that haven't gone well, and all that jazz, right? And it's been very exciting to be able to share that. I'm going to actually show you what week 1 looked like. This is what it looks like up on screen, if you can see that okay. So basically what I went through was, this is 2 weeks ago. The latest one came out yesterday. So, but, I talked about a podcast that I listened to, and, some things there that I think are valuable for other people to hear and learn. Some of the lessons that I've learned around, imposter syndrome, some hot tips, an Instagram post I shared about a competition, and, sharing something that I loved as well. Now, in the recent week, what I've also shared was, a bit more in some videos that I've been watching, or, tools that I'm using and things like that. So if you want to sign up to that, jump down into the description below. I really would like, people to do that, only if they're keen, right? Because you will get an email from me every week. But over time, I want to grow that and just can basically share that next level of detail, or make it that next level of, personable to the individual from me and what I'm sharing. So just if you're interested, then have a look. So the podcast, for those that don't know, I launched a podcast back on February 28th called Further Your Lifestyle. And the goal for this was to basically, release a episode every single week, every Sunday, for the entire year, and also get on. I think I had set the goal to have how many guests is to have 11 guests. Now I'm currently released 5 guests, and I've got 3 teed up. So I'm on track to do that really well in terms of how many people are listening to it. So I have had 217 downloads since published, which is really nice. It's encouraging to have people jumping on and listening to that podcast. I do this on YouTube, on Spotify, and on Apple Podcasts, all over the place. And basically, it's conversations on lifestyle, passions, and hustles. And I've got people that are jumping on, people that are video creators or creator couples. So that was Alan and Grace and Vince. I've had my own stuff that I'm sharing. I've had Weimar DeSalza, and she's making a lifestyle and making a living from doing poetry and modeling, which is just a unique experience. I had Clint on here the other day, and we talked about career mapping and navigating through I guess that career journey into a path of your own passion. And then my latest episode was Emily the Yogi, and how to stay centered and how to live freely. And she travels basically full time and just makes a living from doing odd jobs and also teaching yoga. So really encouraging stories. And this week I've actually got the Aussie Flipper. He'll be on the podcast this week. And then as we progress, I've got plenty more people coming. So if you're keen to find out more about that, it's Further Your Lifestyle podcast. It's on all major ones. It's also on YouTube as well. This will all be in the show notes at the end. Hi, Nicole. Thank you for dropping by. I really do appreciate it. I don't know if you've just jumped in or you're just saying hi. We've just been going through a whole bunch of different stuff. We touched on some of the reselling content, the dashboard, and I know you're probably keen to see that stuff as well. So we will jump back there. Toby, I could do modeling. Do it, man. Do it. I dare you. Yeah, so that's the podcast. The podcast is going really well. If you have listened to it, really do appreciate it. If you haven't checked it out, maybe there's something there for you. My hot tip would be you can listen to this in 1.5 times speed if you have access to that kind of stuff. Most of the players will automatically do that. It means you can listen to it a lot quicker. Most episodes are around an hour long. All right, I'm just going to take another drink. Yeah, fair enough, Nicole. Fair enough. I can't imagine, or I can only imagine. Yeah, so, well, thanks for being here, Nicole. So we touched on some of the sales data, and, I know you've asked questions around that before. And, one thing I probably just want to re-say if you didn't hear it before is, I had Nelly say that, she would love to be able to track with some of these graphs and things like that. But one thing Toby and I mentioned was, when it comes to tracking data, understand what you want to track and why you want to track it before you go spend time in creating something like this. Because sometimes we can have so much stuff coming through, but if it's not telling you or not helping you or not giving you something which is going to enable you to grow or change or pivot, then it's kind of redundant or pointless. And I already said that there's stuff on here which I'll probably remove and change with other things. But, some of the hot things that I like to track is knowing what my average profit is or postage cost is, because when I'm in store, I'm able to really kind of just, figure out if things are worth my time. And we also discussed around maybe something good to add here would actually be, things around average sales cycle time and things like that as well. So there's always more you can be tracking. But, once again, understanding what's the purpose and is there a value there? Cool, for sure. And if you've got questions, Nicole, just let me know. Reach out, leave a comment in the replay or whatever, and more than happy to have the conversation. Help where I can, at least anyway. All right. Let's see what else. Look, I don't really have much else to throw at you guys unless there's questions. I never know how long these things are going to go. What am I doing here? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so look, it's more if anyone wants to have a conversation. No worries, mate. Toby, yes, I know what you got to get done, mate. We were talking about it earlier, so please get it done. No, appreciate you being here. Thank you, and I thanks very much, Toby. Right. So, I mean, look, now's a chance if you want to do, Q&A. If people have questions, I'm more than happy to answer, or do my best to answer anyway. Let's see what the questions are. So you do these graphs to help improve sales. Well, brands have been made with the reselling things shipping. Yeah. Okay. So no, that's a very good question, right? So now I don't use these graphs to necessarily improve sales. I use these graphs to tell me where I'm currently at. The reason why I do that is because I have a goal to hit 100,000. So I want to be seeing what's working and what's not. And one thing that I mentioned in my recent, what sold in the last week was, I'm actually, I don't know if I've got it here. I don't think I do. Yeah. So here's an example. Here's an example. And this is going to be out of context. I don't even know if this is the right data, but this will give you a better idea. So let's just use this example for, and I'll just move this out of the way so you can see it. But basically, this is in a week's amount of data, right? So it said that I sold 4 books, okay? And the profit was $96, okay? So if my profit for the whole entire week was $287, right? And 33% of my profit is coming from books, and I sold 4 books. Now, I sold 8 DVDs, but that only brought in basically 17% of my profit, right? So these kind of things help me tell, and this isn't in a single week, so it's not going to be everything to hone down on, but over a period of time, as you look through this information, you can start to see, well, what's worth your time and what's not. I think I've got my month view here. Yeah, this is a good one. And I'll zoom in a bit more. 150. I don't know if you guys can see that really well. I hope you can. Yeah, I think you can see that pretty well. Okay, so here we go. So this is for all of April, and this is coming out in a video tomorrow. But basically, I sold 20 books, and that gave me a profit of $402. Now, I sold 17 DVDs, but that only gave me $194 profit. Now, it also depends on if you're trying to have cash flow or if you're trying to have profit, back into your pocket. So if you're trying to have cash flow, DVDs, I had $400 worth come through, but they don't have necessarily a super high margin. I mean, it's 41%. It's not too bad. But as you start to progress over this, you can start to see, well, where are you making the best money? Now, my best margin is the toys. I sold 13 toys, and I got a profit of $217, so 52% margin, right? But something that's interesting is I only sold 2 shoes, and it only brought in a profit of $28. But the other thing here is that, well, where I shop, there isn't very much shoes. So that doesn't mean that I shouldn't be doing shoes. It just means that they're not really necessarily something that, I have access to either. So the reason why I track this is because maybe on a single month, it doesn't necessarily tell you a huge story. But as you track it over, 30, 60, 90 days, or even 6 months, it then starts to tell a story in a different way, because then you can start, it's like the 80-20 rule, right? Maybe 80% of your profits is coming from 20% of your items you're selling. And if 20% of your items, in this case, let's say it was books, is bringing in 80% of your profit, that's the one that you should be focusing on, because you're putting in very little work, but you're getting a really, really good return. So that's the mindset I'm looking at it from. So Nicole, a lot of this it's not automated, but it is. It's basically automated. So when I make an update in that video that I did, where I did the master tracker, and I make an update in that sheet, it automatically updates in here. And the reason how it does that is because it's all linked together. So, if I look at this, I don't know if you can see this up here, but it's a formula that is referring to a different cell and a different tab. So, there was a lot of time setting it up. It took a lot of time to set this up, maybe a couple of hours. But then again, I've been using this kind of stuff, in my previous job. So that's why I know it so well. But you can set it up, and then I maintain it daily. It's not automated. It's not like I click a button and it just pulls it from eBay. I literally, when I get a sale, I go into my eBay tracker, and I add in, this sold on this day, this is how much I sold it for, this is how much postage was. I do all that, but I'm doing it on a daily basis. But I can spend 5-10 minutes at the end of the day and do it and have all the information I need. But I like to do it when a sale comes in because I can see it straight away. But it's a daily maintenance thing. The way I look at it is like it's like if you were doing a journal, or if you were doing a little morning ritual or something that takes 10-15 minutes. The idea is you spend a lot of time getting this right at the start. So you put in a bit of time at the start getting it right, and then you're just doing that daily little check-in maintenance, 5-10 minutes here just before I go to bed, make sure it's all there. When I do my postage, I can update all the postage stuff anyway because I'm doing my business post, and then it works that way. Like I said, that's why I said understanding what you want to track, why you want to track it, will then determine what's required for you to do it. And maybe you don't have to do as much because some of the information might be redundant. I'm tracking how much items I'm listing on average as well. Some people don't necessarily need to track that. If you're doing this for just as a side hobby, it doesn't really matter how many items you're listing, right? You're just listing as you get them. But if someone's doing it full time, they want to be saying, I want to try and hit 20 daily listings. This is a way to be able to keep themselves honest. So once again, that perspective will make a difference. I hope that answers the question. Yeah, and for you as well, Connor. Oh, and just for you, Connor, with the shipping, so the idea is that I want to be bringing costs down, right? And my previous thing showed that my shipping over time, if I zoom in here, is also coming down, right? You can see that trend, that green line, it's slowly going down. The idea is that I want to be bringing that down. Obviously, the more throughput of postage or items I'm posting, the better band I'll get on with the Australian Business Post. So if you're not on the Australian Business Post, sign up. It's free. Doesn't cost anything. And the more you send or the more you sell, the more discounts you're likely to get over time. So this should come down even more as I get onto the next band. I'm on band 3, and then there's band 4 and there's band 5. Still a little bit to go. But basically, I can send something that used to cost me $15. I can send that for $12. Something that used to cost me $10.50, I might be, or something that used to cost me $12 is now $10.50. Things that used to be $9.15, I'm now being able to post for as low as $7.69. So there's $1.50, $2 there each way, which over 20 packages a week is adds up to be $20, $25 over a month. It starts to be $100 extra back into your pocket, and that starts to compound. So if you're doing 100 items a week, well, it's going to add up very, very much. So that's why, because it all comes down to the bottom line. Awesome. I'm so good to hear that, Nicole. Of course, let me know if you have questions. And just to be clear, you don't have to be doing this, right? The reason why I encourage keeping the brilliant basics of, maybe understanding, how much, you're selling, I think you've seen my video. I went through it and did it in the master tracker, where basically what your fees are, what your revenue is, what's your profit, and what's your margin, right? Those are very key because those are the basics that you need to know for whenever you sell anything, because fees and cost of goods and posts, they're all things that are going to come out of the potential profit you're going to make. So if you don't know those numbers, you're not really seeing if you're bleeding or if you're making money. These other things are just additional things I'm doing to see how I can change or get a better advantage or find a better way of doing things. And once again, this will work different for everyone. Right, so we're coming on to the hour. I'm more than happy to answer any questions as we're continuing on. I'm just going to change this up. You can see more questions. Connor. There we go. I was going to say one of the best things I got was a photo box recently to make for Cricket. Also bought a demo for between. Yes, yeah. This is very key, very key. And I've done the same. I really have. And I've why is this? There we go. I think that's better. Okay. Yeah. So I've also got the Dymo printer. And it's great, right? Oh, the Dymo Twin. What's the Dymo Twin do? Is that so you can do A4? And yeah, the photo box is really good as well. Yeah. And that's the other thing, is finding things that enable you to do things without friction. because sometimes we say you need these things to do things better, when a lot of the time we don't. But if you're being able to, take these as assets and they're able to save you 20% time, 50% time, especially the Dymo printer, it does so much. Okay, cool. That's good to know. If you can make those investments and you're getting good bang for buck, or good return on investment, then yeah, heck, do it. I might check out that Dymo printer, the twin, because I'm curious to know about that. That's the small little ones, right? I have a big address label on one side and a smaller return address. Okay. I understand now. Understand. Yep. Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay. Cool. Yeah, okay. So you must be spending a lot of, sending a lot of DVDs and things like that, smaller stuff, which is cool. Okay. All right, well, folks, we've been here for an hour, so if you've got any questions, I'm going to give you a chance to ask. Once again, I really do appreciate anyone that's stuck around. It looks like we've still got 9 people here, which is great on the hour for taking time out of your night, your evening, whatever you're doing, and it's always very much appreciated. And I'm excited to be able to share this. That's what it's all about. Is I don't want to be here to say that I have all the right answers or that I'm the best or anything like that. I'm trying to be transparent and show that this is my approach or how I want to do things. And if other people can learn or get some, ideas or suggestions from that, just like I've learned from so many different people, especially in the reselling business area and community. I've spoken to so many people, watching so many people's content. I'm learning all that from them as well, and then applying it in my own way or adjusting it in my own style. And, that's what it's all about. And that's the whole intent of this. And also to show my transparent tracking of goals and ambitions and things that I'm doing, because sometimes we just need that little extra, encouragement or seeing other people doing it to see that they can do it too. Photo room for my background has been yep. Yeah, it does. It makes a good difference. And I think those pictures of quality, they really do spice it up when people are scrolling down eBay and they say, oh, that one pops out, right? And you've got a good backdrop and things are going really, really well. So, I think the little things like that do make a difference. Funnily enough, it's crazy. Okay, well, there you go. Oh, that's because in my videos, I'll put the comps up. Is that right? Yeah. Well, dude, that's just the thing, right? And at the end of the day, I'm buying things knowing that they're selling. So if other people are selling it, then I'm buying it. So yeah, you sell, I'll buy, and I'll sell more. And I apologize if I undercut you. It's not personal. I didn't even know it was you. So, but this is what it's all about, right? There's so many of us trying to do the same stuff, and what you sell is helping me sell, and the stuff that I sell and I share it is helping other people sell. So it is a continuous cycle, and I think that's what's been really great about the community, is that everyone's been very helpful, open to share and happy to share. And it can be a little competitive in sometimes, but I feel like it's not that toxic, right? We've all been, well, so far it's been very, very encouraging and very supportive by everyone. So thanks. And thanks, Connor. There you go. Had no idea. I think you said this last time as well. All right. Well, there we go. Yeah, that's right. And I think that's what it's all about, right? But of course, we're all trying to make some money on the side, so it can be a bit of a challenge. But it's really good to be able to support and encourage. And what I love about this is I could be selling 20 different things in a week, and someone else can be selling 20 different things in a week, but they'll be completely different, and we didn't sell the same stuff, and we can always be learning more things. So that's what's really encouraging. You're so welcome. I really appreciate everyone that's jumped in. I'm gonna start to wrap it up now. So once again, if you haven't checked out the mailing list, there is a link in the description below. If you are keen to sign up, there'll be different things in there over time. I'm experimenting, just tracking a bit more in detail, giving people insights of this kind of things, and giving people advanced notice of opportunity. So if you are keen to see that, sign up below. And if you don't like it, well, you can unsubscribe, right? And yeah, plenty more to come, more videos to come this week. And yeah, I really do appreciate everyone stopping by. If you are here in the replay, make sure you let me know in the comments. so I can know that you stopped by. I will update this with some timestamps as well for those that want to, jump back and refer to anything as well. Otherwise, really do appreciate it. It's it's an honor to have people here to chat to and listen. It's encouraging. So thank you so much. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, do the whole shebang, and hustle. Ciao. Have a wonderful evening.